Hi, everybody. We want to welcome you all in on this Friday. So many of you reaching out asking where we have been. We have been so busy getting ready for our election coverage in the newsroom. Obviously, that's a huge night for all of us and a huge night for coverage and a lot of extra work behind the scenes. Every single election, especially this one, we're less than 415 hours away now, Garrett, but who's counting? We'll get all our work done before then. In the meantime, we are still covering a pandemic for you and helping you get all the information you need to find the data that's out there for the state. Oh, my friends, long time no see. Kristen writes, Sarah writes, we missed you. We missed all of you guys too. And we're so happy to be back with you. And we have so much to get to on this Friday. We promise we will cover it all. It's going to be quick, but we're hopeful that we'll give you some perspective on how things are changing week to week and help you make decisions for your family and your lives. I know a lot of kids started going back to school this week, more in the next few weeks. So we'll help you find this data so that you can make the best decisions to best keep everybody safe in your life. Okay, Garrett. So much to talk about. Oh, you guys, thank you for all the sweet comments. Look at all the nice comments coming in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We hope that we have taught you a lot over the summer and these past few months on where to find this information on your own when we can't be with you every day. But if not, or there's something you've missed in the meantime, we'll help direct you to that right now within this hour. So, Garrett, a lot to get to and of concern. We've been seeing these numbers, especially the case count, and that's always a leading indicator going up.
Yes, it's been a week. We're starting to see some increases. So let's just go right into the. We're not going to spend a lot of time on the summary page, if at all, because now we're looking at this on a weekly basis, and I don't want to spend too much time on what happened today. What I will say, what happened today is yesterday we did have over 1,000 cases reported. That was the first time since the middle of September that we did have over 1,000 cases reported. However, that middle of September 1,000 cases reported was from antigen tests being added from the system, and there was a lot of backfilling, a lot of tests coming in from August and July at that time. This particular one, this was mostly recent tests, and what we're looking at here is how this has been sort of going up here. You can see this is the bounce I'm talking about. September 13th, 4,130 cases were added to the state. That was sort of the antigen bounce, and then things started to go back to sort of a leveling off, 3729, and you can see since then we've increased. We're at 4764 on the most complete week, October 4th. We have 2283 right now on October 11th, but as you know, October 11th hasn't ended yet. So it does appear right now that when October 11th is complete, we will likely have more cases than we do on October 4th that weekend. And a lot of these increases are coming across the board in all counties. Here's Maricopa County. You can see from 22,700 to 3,000. And we will get to zip codes, people. So I see you put out zip codes. We will get there. Mojave, not as much. The increase was not in Mojave. Coconino, you can see some pretty big increases in Coconino. We have seen a slight resurgence in the Navajo Nation cases. You can see that there. You can see more resurgences here. Gila County. You can see big resurgences in Gila County. Cochise, a little bit of a resurgence there. Pima County, not as much. You can see Pima County is actually not being impacted to the same extent as Maricopa County is with the most recent numbers. Yuma County is getting increases. So all in all, most of the counties right now are seeing increases. Not all of them, but I'd say at least half of them are seeing increases right now.
Yeah, I think the counties and the cities and also the school districts that we'll get to, a huge chunk of them seeing an increase. So we'll get to all that. Real quickly, can we touch on the hospitalizations? I've seen some comments. Okay, this is how many cases are out there, but how many people are actually sick? We have seen in the past, Garrett, usually about 10% of the cases or 11% of the cases in Maricopa County were then ending up in the hospital. So that's not saying you don't have symptoms, because you could have symptoms and be fighting this at home. But for some perspective, for the question out there about that, it's usually around that percentage. Has that changed?
It's about 9% right now. Okay. It was 10% for the longest time. And if you remember, one of the systems, major systems, I haven't confirmed who it is, but they own an urgent care facility. So there's one of two hospital systems it can be. If you recall last week, we talked about how they had added people from urgent care to the hospitalizations by mistake. This wasn't intentional. They weren't trying to get more money or anything like that. They just did it by mistake. And so they removed about 2,000 people from the hospitalization curve because of that. But as you can see, now that that's been sort of taken care of, you do see we are seeing slight increases in the month of October on hospitalizations. And these increases we are seeing, this 9% of hospitalizations, they are reflected in the COVID-19 numbers. When we look here, we can see the curve sort of is mirroring that. We have, obviously massive numbers out here in July, but now you don't have to be a data analyst to see this trend. I mean, this trend is very apparent, going from about 472 on September 19th to about 747 on 10/15. So almost double what it was in the middle of September. And it's essentially, you can see bounces everywhere. Ventilators, not as much. ICUs, again, increases, but nowhere near what we were in April. It's still very, very low. It does appear that whatever's happening out there, it does appear that hospitals are doing a better job of maintaining care of COVID-19, and it's it seems to be less that the hospitalizations are happening on inpatient, but not as much in ICU. You can see the discharges are going up, emergency rooms going up ever so slightly, and we see that in the CLI numbers as well, very slightly, and the intubations going up as well, but again, very slightly. So that's where our hospitalizations are, is we are seeing increases, but not even to the levels that we were in April. And I mean, right here, we're about where we were in early May. And we didn't really start seeing really massive increases in hospitalizations until the end of May. That's when we saw it. And if you look at how this curve is shaping up, it's not clear if this is going to happen again. So we just don't know if we are going to have that.
Yeah, and as we see this, obviously the concern is over the pond as we're seeing larger numbers come in the UK, in France. The UK just had their highest day of hospitalization since June 4th. France has just reported 25,000 new coronavirus cases, and their daily hospital admissions also at the highest level since April. And it remains to be seen if this is sort of an early indicator for us. Remember, we saw everything happen there. We had weeks between the time that we saw things really ramp up there, and then we saw that reflected in our numbers here. Italy also reporting more than 10,000 new coronavirus cases, so that's their biggest one-day increase on record. The Netherlands reporting new coronavirus cases, their biggest one-day increase at almost 8,000. So we're watching this over there. We're taking note here. Obviously, it's of concern. When we're looking at the rate of transmission here in Arizona, it's something that is updated each and every day. We are back over 1 pretty much on a consistent basis now, aren't we, Garrett? The concern would be if we hit something as high as 2, but we've seen.
Yeah, 2 is exponential growth. If
yes.
We ever hit 2, we're already within the curve of exponent, and at that point, there's little to do except for hold on and see what happens.
Yeah, and we would see some massive changes at that point. Yesterday, I believe it was at 1.11, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of bounced around in that general area over the past week or so.
Yes. Let me just refresh to make sure I have the right one. So let me go to the RT. And again, this is only like applicable to today. There is no such thing as an RT for the week. So I just don't have that number. Don't look for it. It doesn't exist. So this one is, we are at 1.14 right now. As you can see, it's on the higher side. 1.25 being the highest in Ohio. Ours at 1.14. It kind of runs the gamut. I have seen some RTs that are a little lower than that, but this seems to be where the consensus number is at this point. And as you can see, there's not a lot of states right now that have RTs under 1. It's only Mississippi, Maine, Delaware, Texas, Washington, Oregon, and West Virginia. There seems to be a pattern of western states in some of these. You got Oregon, Washington, Texas. You do have a southern state right here, and then a northern state, 2 of them, and then West Virginia. I guess you would classify that as central east. But a very interesting mix of states there that are under 1. I mean, West Virginia is barely under 1, but the others, it's very regional, just interesting mix.
Yeah, sure is. Kimberly writes, wearing a mask isn't living in fear. It is being responsible. That's for sure. A lot of conversation about mask wearing again and how absolutely important it is. Kimberly, thanks for weighing in on that. So if you want to check the R.dot number, it's worth repeating this site since we're not on here every day now. RT.live is one of the easiest ways to find it. You can also check other states that you might be traveling to, or states where you have friends and family that you're concerned about. It's an easy place to stop in for the latest look at that. Okay, Garrett, everybody, I know everybody wants to get to zip codes, but can we touch on kids briefly? My kid's school just barely starting to reopen. Not all grades are open or invited back just yet. But everybody's watching these numbers for the kids. In fact, yesterday we were telling you a bit more about J.O. Combs. They are closing down. That is a high school. They are closing for at least 2 weeks to try to mitigate the situation there after having cases pop up. Chaparral High School, we reported, has 15 cases. They are not shutting down at this point. We'll keep you updated if anything changes there. And then other schools trying to be proactive in all of this. You'll remember a couple of weeks ago, I told you about Florida canceling spring break. As I said, all fun and games till spring break is over. Spring break is over for U of A. I'm sorry. They are splitting it into reading days. They're going to be staggered throughout the semester and with different groups at different times so that not everybody has a day off that might be tempted to go party or have fun in large groups that could cause some sort of super spreader event. So spring break is off for U of A. We'll see if other Arizona schools follow in the same suit. So with that said, Garrett, how are things looking for kids here in Arizona?
Well, we're at about 31,827 cases for that less than 20 demographic. That's about 14%. I did look to see sort of what the week by week has looked like in those demographics, and it looks like for this most recent week, about 776 cases were added to that demographic. Last week it was about 857. So it's still going up. There were times this week where that demographic sort of led the per capita numbers. They were the highest growing. That happens more often than not. Sometimes it's by fairly large amounts. Sometimes it's by fairly small amounts. But that's where it is right now, 776. It's growing at about, I mean, essentially it's been stable for about 4 weeks now, growing from basically in a range of 700 to 900 in that particular demographic.
And I should mention, if you're interested in what schools have cases, now they're not required to report to the media, so you have to wait for that information to come from your kid's school in the form of a letter or email or update or robocall that they give to let you know that there's a case there. But some parents pass that along to us, and when they do, we put it in a dashboard for all of you. You can find that on our website, which is abc15.com. and then go to /schools. That will have that database there. You can look through, find a little more information about schools in your neighborhood and the number of cases that they are that they're experiencing and what they're doing for the exposure to other kids within that school.
And this is Maricopa County. Before we move on, we've got Maricopa County's data for schools too. I just want to touch on since we're talking about it. I've got basically their outbreak dashboard. How they determine what an outbreak in a school is, that it has to be 2 unrelated students or staff that have been contracted COVID-19. They can't be brother and sister. So this is what it looks like right now. 26 schools are classified as having an outbreak. 24 of them are open, 2 are closed. There are 98 associated COVID-19 associated with outbreaks. Cases. 66 are students and 32 are in staff. That has doubled since the beginning of the month, essentially. On the beginning of month, October 1st, the number of students was 36. Now it is at 66. And really that's not obviously not exponential. And the same thing with the staff. The staff was at 14 on October 1st. Now it's at 32. That's a growth rate of about a half a month. We'll see if that continues. We do not want that to go exponential, obviously.
Yeah, I want to remind folks where they can find this on Maricopa County's website. Have you seen anything like this from other counties releasing it? I know that dashboard is so great, and obviously Maricopa being the most populous county here in Arizona, we get a greater number of people working on that, and thus more colorful, easy to use, easy to read graphs. Have you seen other places doing something?
I haven't, but actually Pima County actually gives a little bit more information in this.
Really?
They don't give it by school. So this is the only one that's sort of giving us a congregate setting by schools. But in Pima County, you can actually look at the school districts and look at what the epi curve looks like in every school district. So obviously in some school districts, we're like, wow, that school district has 1,000 cases. Well, you can click on the epi curve in Pima County and see if those cases are recent or not. It might be that, the vast majority of those cases are coming from that peak period of June and July, and that nothing's happening now. So that's something that you can at least look at. So you're like, oh my gosh, 1,000 cases. Well, it could be that only 5 people in that district area have an active case of COVID. That's just something you can look at the Pima County dashboard.
Yeah, you can get a little more information to base your decisions. Okay, so one of the dashboards that has been so helpful, and it's been updated on Thursdays for us each day, is the schools dashboard and the business dashboard county by county. So to refresh everybody, there are 3 sections for each. For the business category, minimal, moderate, and substantial spread. And that was related to our numbers and how quickly things could open back up. The state had told us they won't be at this point closing anything back down, but still worth looking at, although most counties now, Garrett, are right there in that moderate category. So you're not going to have a lot of different rules county to county if you're traveling between Arizona's 15 counties. And then as far as the schools go, they were set up for the hybrid learning, the remote learning, or the fully in-person. And pretty much everybody had moved into that hybrid learning model.
Yeah, and really it's these because we've been seeing these increases really in the last 10 days or so, these particular just because of the sort of coincidence, I don't want to say coincidence, but this sort of situation we're in, these are a little behind of what's going on right now, truly, because the increases are coming right now. So for example, like Maricopa County, it's showing only 52 to there's basically from 48 to 52 on September 27th. Well, we do know, basically looking at the data, that there's a lot more than that in some cases in Maricopa County that's happened in that next week, October 3rd. So some of this data, you can see sort of what I would say is the caution is you're seeing increases in the CLI. This is the one that's sort of the big enchilada. You don't want to see this one go up above 5. This would be the most problematic if this moves. And it's only moved up a little bit, but it's something to definitely watch very carefully. We do not want to see that one go up. But aside from that, a lot of these numbers look really good. There are a couple that'll have really bad numbers, like Gila County, because they had if you remember a week ago or so, we talked about a long-term care facility that had an outbreak in Gila County. So they have a really bad number, and they have some kind of bad numbers going on right now as well. So you can see there's definitely some issues here that we didn't have before. But just watch this every Thursday to see what's going on. Next week I hate to say it, but next week's numbers should be a little worse too when you look at most of these data points.
Yeah, the lag in those numbers will catch up and be reflective of that. Okay, so we want to get to the zip codes. I know so many of you are interested in that, updated yesterday, and we'll walk you through that. One thing to mention, in the quest for a vaccine that's happening right now, there's a big push to get kids involved in these trials as well. And before you say, my God, I would never let my teenager get involved in a trial like this, the American Academy of Pediatrics is actually pushing for this because they want to see how kids react to the vaccine, because kids have reacted differently to the virus. And while we're testing this on adults, they want to make sure that it will be effective for our kids as well. So Pfizer is starting to enroll kids right now, kids as young as 12 years old. No word on how soon this would specifically start, but we wanted to keep you updated on that. At the very same time, they're being cautious in pausing these tests as well. If anything goes wrong with any participants, it doesn't mean that it is because of the vaccine or it could be because of something else that's going on in their life. They could have gotten the placebo. So Eli Lilly has shut down theirs, or paused theirs, I should say. Johnson & Johnson pausing theirs as well. So we'll continue to keep you updated on those throughout our newscasts as we hear more information coming out. Obviously, everybody's interested on how soon we could get closer to a vaccine. All right, Garrett, do you want to take a big drink of water? Are you ready to dive into some of these zip codes? As you pull them up, I want to remind folks, there are several ways to look at the zip codes. We generally just call it that, but by the zip code, by the city, by your school district. And remember, your particular area can be split into your high school. If you're not a unified school district, you can have a high school district and an elementary school district, just depending on where in the valley you are. So it's important to check all 4 of those places to get the best understanding of how your numbers look. So when you go to this site, you'll see that the cities all look great overall, but dive down to each of those numbers so that you can really understand what's going on. And remember, I always use my own example as a case, but my zip code goes one direction and my school district goes another direction. So our numbers are vastly different in those 2 areas. So don't just check one spot. Be sure to check all 4 places as it applies to you. And without any further ado, Garrett, let's get to some of the numbers. Also, we put the website on there if you want to go check it.
So anyway, these numbers are, we just looked at the workplace dashboard, and these numbers are a week ahead of that. So what we're looking at is data from the latest data on this is 9/26. The most recent is basically from October 4th to the 10th, I believe it is. Yeah, 4th to the 10th. So this is pretty much very recent data we're looking at. So as you can see, pretty much I like to start from the biggest jurisdiction and go down. All the cities in Maricopa County are still considered moderate. You can see increases in Phoenix, for example. No increase in the percent positive, but you can see some increases in this last week.
And I did notice, Garrett, the CLI is at 3. So
yes, you can
when we were checking it for everybody in the last few weeks, it was still at 2.
Yep, the CLI has increased by 1 point. That is true. And you can see most of the areas, very little changes, but still changes. Let's move on to the next. These are the high school districts. We'll just go with Tempe Union right here. You can see this last week, Tempe Union actually did have a decrease from 63 to 56. Phoenix Union had an increase from 49 to 53 with a higher percent positive, but still under that 7%. Glendale from 43 to 36, increase in both the percent positive and the cases per 100. I don't want to go through all of these. We'll go next to unified school districts. These are the suburban school districts. Most of these are unified. And you can see Queen Creek. I'll start there because I know everybody's watching Queen Creek and Paradise Valley. 61 cases per 100, and cases per 100 in the week after 63.8 with a percent positivity of 1.3. That's a pretty low percent positivity. Let's see. And then, but I know that I don't know what they're testing in Queen Creek yet because the zip code's been moving up pretty substantially too, and I don't know what's down there that's being tested. This is Higley, right? Yeah, Higley, 47 to 48, barely any changes. Mesa, the largest district in the state, or well, probably in the state, 49 to 56 with a slightly higher percent positivity. Paradise Valley, from 23 to 36 with a 3 to a 4. And then Scottsdale, 41 to 49 with the basically 3% positivity. Let's move over to the west side really quick. Dysart, 49 to 57 with the same percent positivity. Peoria, 53 to 44 has actually gone down with a lower percent positivity. And Deer Valley, from 30 to 35 with very low positivity. So nothing really going on in Deer Valley. Gilbert, someone just asked for Gilbert. Gilbert is 56 to 44, so it decreased from week to week. Kyrene is that an elementary school district?
Yeah, you have to flip to the next one.
Okay, let's go to elementary school districts. Here we go. Let's go in a little closer. All of the rural districts that have very few people in them are considered minimal. Still no testing being done right here at Wilson Elementary School District from last week. It was green. You can see it actually went up to 63, but it's still considered minimal for another week. Kyrene is, someone will have to point me to Kyrene here. Riverside, 78 to 67. Here, let me just put in Kyrene. Maybe that'll work. There we go. I am completely off. Kyrene, you can tell I don't live in the Kyrene School District, right? So 40 to 44 with a similar percent positivity. Tempe Elementary, 86 to 67. So ASU, it's definitely going down. It's not really hitting ASU the same way it was, the testing over there. Mm-hmm. You do still have some substantials right here with Fowler Elementary School District. with a high percent positivity the week prior. Very high percent positivity in Riverside, 14.3 last week. So definitely something to look at. I don't know what's over there, but a lot of high numbers there. Okay, let's do it. So let's just do an overview first. As you can see, there are only 3, at least for this last week, there were only 3 zip codes that are considered substantial. But what I can tell you is of this data we're looking at, the zip codes, there's 136 zip codes in Maricopa County. 66 of them saw increases from week over week. So that's about almost 50% of the zip codes saw increases from week to week. Just to go over the other numbers, because I didn't go over this before, the unified school districts, 10 of the 16 unified school districts saw increases. Of the high school districts, 4 of the 6 saw increases. Elementary school districts, 17 of the 33 saw increases. And of the cities, 12 of the 24. So roughly half of Maricopa County has seen increases of COVID-19. So now that I've gone through that.
And that is week to week, Garrett?
What's that?
That is a week-to-week increase.
That is a week-to-week.
Places?
6 to 10, 11, I think, those 2 weeks.
Yeah. Wow.
So the substantial zip codes, we'll just go there first. You can see the first one is still ASU 85281, still posting a per case per 100 of over 100, and that's been consistent for at least 2 weeks now. And then there are other, this one right here, 85004, which is also an ASU campus, is posting moderate numbers for this most recent week, but they're still considered substantial because of this from 2 weeks ago. And the other red is 85033, and that is because of a very high percent positivity this week, 13.3. The cases per 100 was low-ish. I mean, it wasn't low. It was low. It was under 100, but it was 13.3, so higher number there. So, okay, I will happily go through zip codes now. I don't have 86314, I'm pretty sure, because I believe that
it's outside. Keep in mind, we're only getting this information from Maricopa County, so anybody outside of Maricopa County, we wish we had this drilled down info, but we don't necessarily have it in. So post your zip codes and we'll get them for you. Yes,
Sun City, 85351. There was an increase in that zip code, 30 to 54, but the percent positivity went down. So it looks like they did some more testing there. Let's see, what else? 85339, thank you. 85339, a very popular zip code. This zip code is 54 to 72. So it did go up a little bit, 6% to a 5.79% positivity. So that's essentially the same. So some slight increases in that zip code. 8555255. Oh, now they're coming really fast. So I'm going to miss some. I do apologize. This one almost doubled from 40 to 80 with percent positivity of 3 to 5%. But just looking at the fact that McDowell Mountain is there, it's probably a very low population zip code. 85283, Tempe, Guadalupe. This one went from 50 to 34, so this actually decreased with a lower percent positivity. So this is one of the decreasing zip codes. 248. I do not have Pinal County and Santan Valley. I do apologize. 852. This is Chandler Sun Lakes, and it has a slight increase from 34 to 42 with a 3% positivity this last week. 85202.
And Garrett, as you pull it up, Micah was asking, what does it mean when your percent positivity goes down, but your cases per 100,000 go up? Would that just be a testing blitz?
It would be, yeah, it would be more testing being done in that particular zip code.
So, Micah, it could be like we've seen some, like a charter school just set up a tent in the parking lot and kind of push everybody through to get tested. So it could be something like that that's skewing that just a bit.
Yes. 85201 went down from 60 to 50 with a higher percent positivity, but still under 7%. 85032. 85032 went from 18 to 41. That's essentially doubled from 2.6 to 5.9, which means they probably did the same amount of testing. It just it doubled. So 5085. But it could be a small zip code. The area-wise, it's a very small zip code. This zip code looks like there's barely anybody in it, so it would be prone to wild swings. 24 to 44 with a 2.7% positivity and a 5.7 is the new one. So essentially doubled, but again, looks like a very small zip code, 205. 85205, this does look like a pretty dense zip code. This is 6161. It has not made any changes. And it's essentially the same. Now, I will point out one of these around here, since we're in Mesa right now, 85204. This one, even this one is showing increases, but I'm just warning anybody who in 85204, 85204 is one of the highest growing zip codes in the state right now. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because there's a hospital in there. We're not seeing a lot of hospitalization numbers right now, so I don't know what it is that's causing it, but 85204 is growing pretty quickly. So just letting people know.
So just to remind everybody, when you're talking of a dense zip code or one that doesn't have as many people, if you don't have as many people, you could sway the numbers quite a bit with just a few more cases. In a dense zip code, if you're seeing those numbers move, man, there's a high number of cases there in order to sway the percentage.
Yes. So, for example, there's not a lot of people in the zip code. You can just see by the area and what it looks like around here. And it's a little hard to see, but there's not a lot of houses in this area. And you can see they went from 0 last week to 47.58, which sounds, I mean, obviously it quadrupled technically, but it's such a low population zip code, it's difficult to tell, but it's still in traditional. So 85353. 85353, this is a pretty dead zip code, it does appear. Oh, this one did really good. It went from 82 to 29. So it essentially, it like more than halved. So, and the percent positivity went down. So good for you, 85353.
Yeah.
Very good in there.
That is good news. I want to talk about something Ben has written, and he's saying the positive cases are up, hospitalizations are down. The numbers are worthless. One thing I caution you in that, Ben, is remember, hospitalizations lag, deaths lag. So you're going to see the cases go up first, and then sadly you see the hospitalizations go up a few weeks later, and then even more heartbreaking, the number of deaths go up after that. So I caution that drawing that line there, because it's a delay. So that's why we're going to watch those hospitalizations, and it's something that we'll be talking about a lot next week. So
and also I know what he's going with. I know why he's saying more than the PCR numbers are false positives. That's not really the case anymore, because a large portion of our tests are now being done with the antigen tests because they're easier to do. The saliva tests are easier to do. So what happens is a lot of people do their saliva test, and then if they test positive, they go on and do a PCR test after that. So you're not going to see as much of I know people are talking about the cycle threshold for the PCRs, and that's worth talking about. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to discount that, because there are some arguments out there that saying a cycle threshold of 40 is way too much, and you're going to detect way too much of a virus that is long gone out of a system. So I understand the thought on there, but you're not going to see it as much because of the antigen testing we're doing.
Yeah.
So, all right, 85301, Glendale. This used to be one of the hardest hit zip codes in Arizona, 37 to 52, slightly higher percent positive. All in all, I think that's pretty good numbers for 85301. 85022. I will do 85021 next. Oh, it's right next to me anyway. 85022. Oh, this is really good zip code, 11.4 to 19. Barely any movement in that zip code, so it's very low. 85021. Going from 37 to 35, not a lot of infections. Interesting, we're seeing more of these zip codes. These center zip codes are doing better than like the eastern. We're seeing a lot less movement in the central city than we are in the suburbs right now. I know people will say that's about schools. I can't, I can only speculate, but it is just what's happening. Now, well, here's one right here that actually discounts what I just said. It's the exception. We went from 60 to 41, and this is South Chandler. So this one's doing very well. Let's see, 85138. Sorry, I don't have that. 85209. 52 to 35 with a lower percent positivity, doing very well. Good job. That is the Far East Valley.
So Garrett, a couple of weeks ago, the concern, it was starting to look like the East Valley was having growth that was happening much faster than the West Valley. Has that sort of leveled off, it seems?
No, I'd say the East Valley is still getting, it's getting some, these numbers are showing that things have leveled off a little bit out here, but just looking at what the numbers look like today, right now, it's still, like I said, 85204 is moving at a pretty fast clip right now. We are seeing downward movement in the East Valley right now at this very moment with these numbers. But I'm just saying, looking at the numbers that are happening right now, there are a couple zip codes that I have to be concerned about. One being 85142. It says 57.06 to 57.06. I'm a little concerned about that. When you're taking it down to the second decimal point, it's near impossible to have two of the exact same numbers. So I'm thinking this is an error, but 85142 is growing very quickly. Yeah. So it does appear, at least with the numbers that we're looking at right now, Katie, that the numbers in the East Valley are calming down. It's not the same as it was. 85212, that's 60 to 30. I mean, let's see, that one's gone in half right there. And the percent positive is only 1.5. And this is a pretty, I mean, it's not a very dense zip code, as you can see. 85027. 85027, I think I already looked at this one. It has double. Let's see, 85224. 85224 is, it's gone down from 34, from 47 to 34. Let's see, what else? 85308. 85308 is also gone down from 36 to 24. So that's a good job for them. 5345. 85345 in Peoria from 58 to 40. So this is a zip code that things are going down, and the percent positivity is about half as well. 8. Let's see, how much more can we do with this, Katie?
Well, we can do a few more minutes, and then we'll move on to some of the other things.
47 to 65. This is one of the zip codes that are growing, but the percent positivity is lower, which means they're doing more tests in that zip code. 85354. This is a, oh no, that's 853. Okay, right here, very low, double, but very low numbers from 12 to 24. And this is obviously a rural zip code compared to the others, but still, it did double. Let's see, 85. We just did 8533354. I think we've already got over 85338. This one has not doubled, but it has gone up. 85008.
We can take about 2 or 3 more, and then we'll move on to some of the projections that are coming out.
Has decreased. 85008 went from 75 to 69 with a similar percent positivity. So it does look like things are doing okay in that district. 85297, that sounds like Gilbert. Yep. This one has halved. It went from 66 to 38 with about the same percent positivity. And one more, who's it going to be? It's going to be 85602, Gary. Nope, not Denise. Sorry. 5255, Denise. All right. Oh, we've already done that one. I don't want to end with something we've already done. 8142. 85142. Oh, no, that's Queen Creek. We've already done that too. See, I do these so quickly. Let's see. 85143. No, wow. What's going on here? 85203. Okay, this is going to be the last one. This is right. Freeway, Mesa. It's gone from 54 to 33 with a lower percent positivity. So things are doing okay in that zip code right now. So that is where we will leave it right now. But again, you can go to this map, this GIS.maricopa.gov /COVID/schools and go over any of this stuff as much as you want. It's all there. It recalculates every Thursday in the morning. Yeah, they actually have a historical table too. So I've got some great numbers here. I'll show you really quick. I don't have it really ready yet, but before we go,
as you bring it up, I'll provide a couple more updates. You know, we talked about Chris Christie going into the hospital last week. He had tested positive, spent 7 days in the ICU, releasing a statement yesterday, and I think it's something worth repeating. You know, he said, "I was wrong not to wear a mask. I hope my experience shows my fellow citizens that you should follow CDC guidelines in public, no matter where you are. Wear a mask to protect others and yourself." That coming out from Chris Christie after spending 7 days again in the ICU, urging everybody to take this seriously, not only for your own health, but for the health of others, and being respectful and thoughtful of other people's health, that they don't need to broadcast their health worries to you, that you just are respectful to them and wear a mask when you're out. One really good note in all of this, New Zealand has said that they have been 3 weeks now without community transmission. So although it's smaller, it is possible. Once again, New Zealand, 3 weeks without community transmission. So we'll leave it at that. And the projection, the historical look that you were pulling up, Garrett?
Yeah, I've got it ready. This is just basically some historical numbers. Maricopa County is kind enough to publish historical numbers going all the way back to June for all of the information we just looked at, although it's not in a good place to look at, so I had to make it myself. So this is, someone asked for Goodyear. So this is Goodyear's basic historical curve. So you can see Goodyear, they tested 26% positive at the peak. Now they're about a 5%. We'll look at, say, Gilbert, for example. Gilbert's at a 2.8 right now, but they were at 19.5 at their peak. And this is all by week, by the way. Guadalupe, you can see they had some very high percent positives, 42% out in August, and now they're down to 5%, so great for Guadalupe. Mesa, you can see that one's gone up a little bit too. But it's at a 4.1. But you can see some small increases. I'm not going to go through everything because it would just take way too long to do that. But I will look at, say, for example, I can go through all of these elements. I'll go through some Unifieds really quick. Unified School District, we'll look at Queen Creek right there. Queen Creek, you can see Queen Creek right now is at 1.4. And that's, but you can see did have some increases. But it doesn't seem like anything too concerning right now. Mesa is having increasing right now, 4.47 for the week of October 3rd on Mesa Unified School District. So I'm going to try to find a home for this stuff as soon as possible.
Great, Garrett.
This is all the historic data that Maricopa County is publishing.
Really fascinating perspective. I find that you built that behind the scenes here.
Yeah, I built this in about an hour ago because I found the data and then I was like, oh, I gotta get this ready. So I put it all together and I'll try to find a home for it as soon as possible.
I made a cheese sandwich for my kids that would be served at the Fry Festival. But thank you for putting that together, Garrett. That's awesome. Debbie agrees. Debbie's writing. Nice job, Garrett. So thank you for that. Finding a home for that would be awesome. Maybe we can even get it up on our. Yeah,
I'll try to get on the website. I just got to put it into a more production-friendly environment.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so people have been talking about the flu shot. Obviously, we don't want to overwhelm our hospitals with everybody who will have the flu, and then also with coronavirus or those people who can't tell the difference. So I want to let you guys know something that's coming up. There is the city of Phoenix has partnered with Passport Health to make sure people get their flu shot. You may have seen several of the mayors yesterday going out for a little photo op, if you will, getting their flu shot, but really doing it to let you know where you can get a free flu shot for the next 2 Saturdays. So that's tomorrow and the next week. No insurance required. Go to phoenix.gov. Once again, phoenix.gov, and you'll find the locations for that. So you can go take care of that tomorrow so that you're not wondering what it is that you're fighting right there. Everybody writing, nice job. Way to go. Easy reading. Thank you, Gary. Good info. Send it right. See, Garrett, all the love there. Yay is right. All right, we just have a matter of minutes left. I want to get to some of the projections. I know Micah was asking for some of the projections as well. We all want to know what's coming next, how do things look, and what can we expect here over the next few weeks?
Well, I'm gonna. I'll start with the one that I like, the MIT model. What's interesting about the MIT model is it's not showing a lot of movement, which is good because this has been a very accurate model. So we do want to see this. We want to see, obviously, not a lot of movement. You see right here, it estimates our RT at actually 0.95 right now, but it moves this number very, very slowly. It doesn't react at the same speed that the others do. And then here we go with, let's see, what do we have here? We have, hold on a second. Let's see. Okay. Yep. Sorry about that. I was looking to see when this was last updated. Last updated on October 6th. So I have to actually contact the guy and see when he's going to update this again.
Yeah, I see it. It's not project that far out either.
I didn't realize that he hadn't updated this, so I'm actually going to move this to IHME for the last few seconds because as much as I love that projection site, if it's not updated, it's not worth anything. So I need to move to something that has been updated. So let's do IHME, the University of Washington, really quick.
And at last check, that was out all the way through January. So if people are interested in that, it's usually twice a week that one ends up being updated. Looks like it's out through February 1st now.
Yep, it's going all the way out to February. So it's seeing, as you can see right now, it does presume that our death numbers are going to basically gradually increase, and it projects at about 8677 by February right now. That's where it thinks it's going to be. I'm going to take out all these other, I'm just going to look at their projections. I'm going to ignore all the others right now.
Okay.
Right now, as far as daily deaths, it does believe that we are at a low, but by the middle of December, we're going to start seeing an increase of daily deaths. Now, I would sort of, as far as the way we've seen case growth, I will say that I probably agree with this slope. I don't know how high it's going to go. I don't know if it's going to go back to 48. As you can see, we only were at that number at the very, very peak. So I don't know if we're going to get there, but I do agree that we are going to see death increases because we've talked about how deaths lag cases.
But Garrett, that is what is so incredibly heartbreaking in this date, December 15th, that these families are going to lose someone the week before Christmas, the week before the holidays. I think that is the real thing that people need to be thinking about right now when they're out and about and making different choices, that the numbers reflected in that. Then, I mean, there's no, let me be honest here. There's no good time to lose somebody. It's hard no matter the time of year, but talk to anybody who's lost someone over the holidays, and that just stays with you forever. And so we should consider that date too, when we're thinking, yeah, I don't need a mask, I'm just running here or there. Things like
and it believes, as far as daily infections, and this is COVID agnostic, this isn't confirmed, this is just people out in the community that may get the sniffles and also get COVID-19 because, you know, they're 19 and barely feel it, and that does occur. Although it does occur the opposite way too, please don't get me wrong. You do, right now it thinks we're at a low in daily infections, and by, say, December 15th, it does presume that we're going to be around 9,000 or so. And right now we're at about 2,900. And hospital resources, it does not presume we are going to be above our capacities at this point for anything. And then mask use, this one, it doesn't really have any projections for this going forward right now. As you can see, it's just straight at 70%, and that seems to be where, you know, where it is. So we'll see what happens over time. But this does think that we are in the midst of a gradual increase. And we'll see. We'll see if it's correct.
Yeah, it's definitely reflected in the numbers as far as this week goes, and the day-to-day increases. So, all right, we have gone over time, as I see. Producer Carrie's going to yell at us to wrap it up here really quick. So we want to thank all of you for taking time on your Friday with us. And we want to thank all of you who are watching the rebroadcast over on your streaming devices, be it Roku or Apple TV. We want to thank all of you for taking time with us. We hope that we have taught you places to find the information, so when we're not here with you, you're able to look it up for yourself and make the best choices for your family, knowing their health and their lifestyle best. As always, let me tell you where you can find us. Garrett is on Twitter at Garrett_Archer. I'm on Twitter at Katie Rammel. I love to see all of your names that I see here in the comments showing up over there on our pages. Oh, Micah says, missed you. We missed you too. It's been so strange not to chat with you guys every day. But I hope that we helped you out a little bit, and we will see you back here on Friday as well. Remember, all the schools information can be found on abc15.com/schools. Also, I'm on Facebook if that's your preferred method, facebook.com/news from Katie. Be safe out there. Have a very safe week, and we will see you back here next Friday, same time.